This is Chariot.
Hello, Mama Akwaba Eba Chariot TV. Now, unim say kwesi ada say no na action time. Edumedi and edu so. Today is action time on Chariot TV. I'm not your regular host. I'm stepping in now for Ebenezer Ejare. Ebenezer na ewosenka ene no di dwuma nenso bibi asanka no nti ontimi emma ene. Nti ene no me na me di dwumadi ho chia me na metutu dwumadi na aboa. Nti so joining in, you might be watching us from YouTube. You might be watching us on Facebook, or you might be watching us from Twitter. Just click on the subscription button and share. Just share for people. Just share. Obasope on YouTube. Just click on the share button, copy the link, post it on your WhatsApp platforms for people to join. And our Facebook, you can share on your wall, share for group pages. You can copy the link, share on WhatsApp. Just share the link. Send a hope for us to be joining in. Na enyoma pa on Chariot TV no almost be me joining in a live show in this joining in joining in you bet me so I read you comment from your comment section. You comment on anything bibi a yesu ho ade na obe comment bia no you bet me ehunu na yetimi so aboa na onso so wetimi ate de ye ka ho asem asiye na aboa onso so a quick one on the ye no is about mental health. Now, in topic, why the church must address the mental health crisis of the next generation. Why the church must address the mental health of the next generation. If you are speaking about the first thing I remember translate Sabro for 10 no Akochi am I maybe to see how far he will go. So what about so I'm going to click the like button and share, and you can drop in your comments as the program goes on. Drop in your questions. Send a bear a bit means so identify or na etimi aboa ama the issue ni no so wetima te ho ase e was akwan so the many need you ma e wa ha no Brofo Kasem no oye licensed social worker and mental health therapist. Unya Kwaku Makwaba.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm fine. So who is Kwaku Che, so that we can start from there?
Sure. Just want to take a moment to thank you for having me on the show. I want to thank Eben also for having me on the show. I know he can't be here, but I know he's listening wherever he is. So I, again, like you mentioned, my name is Kwaku Che. I reside in the United States. I'm a licensed social worker and a mental health therapist. I am licensed in the state of New Jersey and the state of Ohio. What is a licensed social worker? Basically, I work helping individuals with whatever social needs that they need. I mainly specifically I'm more of in the psychotherapist or the mental health side, where I provide therapy for adolescents and also working with families. So it's like a family-based system, working with them to address the challenges of their children, and then also creating plans or treatment plans, or basically like an action as to how to address their needs and then achieve the goals that the families want.
Yo, Medasi. So okay, social no. Now the Obama dream say what entails in social work? Because the social worker, what entails?
As far as social work, yeah, social worker, your partners are like different aspects of someone's life. So whether that be home, school, work, church, everything that encompasses the person's life for them to be able to function on a daily basis. So that's what social workers come in to basically advocate for them and provide resources and power so that they can function or live their life as best as they can.
Oh, okay. Medasi. I think that we should be will understand the opposite of change. So let's go to our topic. Why the church must address mental health crisis. We say we are mental health. You're not talking about themselves. I just want to get that right.
Yeah, I know. Said that when you tisa phrase now mental health, that's the first thing that we think of, right? So it'll be
Yeah.
about them, but there's so many different diagnoses, or there's so many different aspects of mental health, right? We have depression, we have attention
Okay.
deficit hyperactivity disorder, which ADHD will be a maybe ADHD will be a to me focus it on something for a long time. And I say or a hyper, like Biana or yeah a friend is saying to me to not say for a long time he has to move around. Usually you see this in kids. Not saying that it's not in adults, but this is something where it's highly diagnosed in kids. You have PTSD and post traumatic stress disorder, BBTMAC, where a, a bone for like the rest of your life, and throughout your life, right? Usually you see this in conform called war, and I say let's say you witness someone die in front of you, and
Mm-hmm.
you were abused. All of those can cause PTSD. You have generalized anxiety disorder. I think this was one of the most common ones. Be what had be like onto me kasa nipemu, and I say onto me ba nipemu, and not no popo and all that stuff. That's generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder. There's so many
Yeah.
general ones that we experience every day, and it's not just inclusive of certain populations like Yang Ghana for, so we can experience these things. Just that sometimes we don't see it, we don't understand it.
Yeah.
So
Me look at mental health. I mean, not the Obama dream from a layman's standpoint in the Oma Avia, Onam Equansoa,
yeah,
Omwa, those are the ones who
right,
have mental.
right,
But
yeah, those,
yeah,
yeah.
Kasa, me too.
Oh no, I was going to say, so yeah, those that is also mental health, but that's just a small fraction. Those are the ones we don't we a small fraction of it. But there are more diagnoses, like I mentioned, where you may seem normal on the face value, but there's a lot going on internally with the individual. Yeah.
That's will be our hyper. That's a when Timmy Tinafa, click, crack, and so crack,
Yeah.
no.
Mental health.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, mental health. So yeah,
I see. I assume. I assume. And
yeah,
then I can. We don't. What encompass mental health in our part in there? We don't think about those things. In fact, you mentioned about Obi I said until they are all part of mental health, but we don't seem to see those people as the a mental health problem.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And I want to say that because you have those challenges, it doesn't mean sad you cannot
mhm.
function in society.
Okay.
Well, it's not a bad thing. Said you have these things. We are not perfect. And you're perfect. We all have our challenges and flaws. The goal is to be able to still function daily through these challenges or through these symptoms, and still be able to be a member of society where you can still play a part. So yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So, on mental health, how do they diagnose it? Is it you go to you pull your blood, you chew moja, you chew moja, you arrest a DV, and I do kujina
Yeah.
a skill. So now, really, how do they diagnose mental health?
Sure. So we have this book called the DSM. Right now on version 5. It's called, and DSM stands for Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder. It's I say therapist for the Bible. Um,
Okay.
we use that book to be able to look at your symptoms, look at how long you've been having those symptoms, and then try to, as best as possible, provide a diagnosis. Right. The challenge with that is that maybe okay, you've been sad for 1 week, right?
Yeah.
Because let's say oh boy a jow and that's all girl a jow. That doesn't necessarily mean say you have depression. You may
Okay.
have depressive symptoms, but you have to be depressed for like 3 weeks plus or whatever the criteria is. You have to have it. It has to be for a certain time. Plus, you have to match at least, depending on the diagnosis, maybe 3 out of 5 criterias. So all of those, you put it together, and then you try to come up with the best diagnosis possible to treat, to be able to be treated. So that's how we come up with the diagnosis.
Yeah, so me to see, yeah. So your diagnosis is mostly you assess the patient via conversation.
Correct. Conversation and assessment. So you ask them certain questions, say, oh, you know, how long have you been feeling sad, or are you able to pay attention when you're watching TV? Like certain questions. Of course, first the person will come to you. Let's say someone comes to me and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. As they're talking, I'm trying to narrow it down to what the possible diagnoses are. So then you keep questioning, you keep interviewing, and try to find it. You know, once you're diagnosed, though, it doesn't interest it like, okay, you're stuck with it. The therapist or the clinician can always come back and reassess and say, maybe I think this diagnosis fit you better. So it's always an ongoing thing to be reassessed. Yeah.
So, but I think that on a matter of be educating the public, you know, I don't know whether I should say the education have not gone much, because it will be difficult to be a Ghana need to where I'm speaking from the context of Ghanaian.
Sure.
What hospital?
Yeah.
I think I'm depressed or something. I mean,
it's very unlikely. Yeah, it's very unlikely. The only way, and I wrote a research paper on this. The only way, from my experiential background and people, Ghanaians that I have worked with, and just from family, friends, and growing up Ghanaian, the only way someone will go to a hospital or a doctor and then end up being diagnosed with depression is if on your symptoms are somatic. When I say somatic, say maybe nitiania and until these are physical symptoms. Asana maybe doctor find out, said, no, you are depressed, you're stressed, you're not sleeping. So that's why you're having these physical illnesses. Oh, and then the doctor would say, yeah, this is, it's not that you're sick. And I said, file vitamins or whatever it may be, is because you're depressed. So yeah, it's because of the cultural influences, the way we grew up. We didn't grow up on mental health in a sanya manner. It's like, it's unheard of. So that's the main reason why we don't go, the cultural upbringing, and that's something where we need to change and start educating individuals on how to see these symptoms that can elude. And I say, I bet you, okay, maybe it's not physical illnesses, but it's more due to your mental health.
Yeah. Some few years ago on campuses, I think we have about for the past maybe 5 years back on campuses, university campuses in Ghana, no, a lot of people commit suicide. With a student TBS, and I think the education has not gone much or drilled in.
Yeah.
Well, if someone is really in trouble on things like this, why that hyper all of a sudden? Why hyper
Yeah. And just to touch on the suicide, it's not something where you have to be so well educated on for you to say, oh, wait, their meaning. How would I know so committed suicide? There are always signs. Signs no ho. Well, there are always signs where you can see if someone is going through something. It is all about educating the public and then put it in a way where layman's term, where they can see these things, they can understand it, and they say, hey, bro, Charlie, you have to, I think you should go get checked out because you haven't been yourself. It'll be a while before I committed suicide, no, or bet you way in your science. But I said, maybe this could be a and I say he's just feeling generous. And I said he's talking in past tense. And I say the person is talking in a way where it's just odd, or they're being isolated. There's so many signs to be able to help someone before it gets to that drastic conclusion, for sure.
I see.
Yeah.
We are live on Facebook, we are live on YouTube, we are live on Twitter, and we are streaming live on all these platforms. A live show. So you drop your comments in all these platforms. I think with the exception of Twitter, On Twitter, you have to be paid subscriber to be able to drop your comments in there. So what on Facebook and YouTube, you drop your comments, you will see and you will read for our brother to also to answer. We are discussing on mental health issue. The topic is why the church must address the mental health crisis of the next generation. Many licensed social worker and a mental health therapist, Chei Kwaku Chei, ana agye akonnwa anumere ana mene ne point mpɛsɛnsɛm no mu sɛne ɛbɛyɛ a mɛtumi ama ate aseɛ nti sɛ wɔ question wɔ comment bi a wodrop or comment section hɔ a yɛbɛtumi ahunu na yɛn nso so yɛde aboa wo na yɛyi wo nsɛ busara no bɔ mmɔden na click on the share button to share these content to others sɛne meka da yɛkae ho no we have not monetized our content nti yɛka sɛ share it's not yɛsɛ sɛ YouTube bɛma yɛ sika bi ɛnti na yɛsɛ share the point is that to get the message out and there are a lot of people who need messages like this to be able to see maybe a wetimi abaye obi a wetimi aboa ama nipa bi nso so ho atɔ wɔn yɛmra the topic this bio I think there's something me pese ebi a oboboa me wɔ ho the topic is why the church must address the mental health crisis of the next generation. Why the next generation? Why not this generation?
Well, I think with the question, no, the next generation, you know, I think the next generation, they are more acceptable of this topic.
Okay.
You know, what mental health is. I mean, we're all on social media. We see it's becoming more known, well known, is becoming more prominent as opposed to you know, the previous generation. I think with the title The Next Generation, I want to say this generation as well, as far as you know, the young people of this generation. You know, I know when you say generation, it all depends on how you identify it, but we are more acceptable of mental health. We see health as a holistic entity, whereas not just physical, it's everything. It's emotional, mental, whatever. And I think you know, that's the reason why we must focus on it in that generation, because it's a group that is easy to capture. It's a group that is easier to explain to. It's a group that is more accepting, more open-minded.
Okay, me that's it. But this one also Uma say about say culturally, you know, there are so many people boundaries mama phone call check up on things like this. Is there any other reason why people shy from trying to utilize maybe health practitioners on mental health? They aside the cultural interlocking or cultural background, any other?
Yeah. So coming back to the title, so it's like it's really a double-edged sword, because religion is also a barrier to this, but at the same time, it can be a very positive thing. You say blacks, and I say Ghana for that we are very, very, very religious. Everything has a religious aspect to it. You know, instead of going to even physical illnesses, where instead of going to the doctor and I say maybe doctor what's going on, we will go to a pastor and have him pray for us, right? So that also, and then I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I'm a strong believer of being able to balance both sides or utilize both sides. You can still pray and still take your medicine. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you can't be sick, or let's say now right? You have to get up and work it out, do physical therapy and all that stuff. So it goes hand in hand. Medicine and religion, in my opinion, goes hand to hand. So the barrier of religion, or we as a people say you're depending too much on religion, and sometimes at higher with these things, right? And then also culture and religion goes hand to hand, especially with Ghanaians. You know, so be a quote unquote abodam, and I say, let's say openi be na or kasa whatever. Then we think so fear for na say be or whatever. But in an adult, will be already 70, 80, 90. It's probably Alzheimer's and not dementia. You know, all of that is mental health, and not say about bodam or anything like that. It's just a science. So those are that is the religion aspect is a huge barrier. But like I said, it can also be a positive.
Yeah, I send a cano. Because what kind of say there's a young girl in our neighborhood. Now, not long ago, it's also Kasakasa, Kujina Park, so Kasakasa. I think no, yeah, but I saw now I saw it be a denomination. They were thinking that Nyakopa friend. So you do for because
so you're saying that why are very religiously occupied?
Yes. Maybe the answer say Okoja Park no Kasano who bibi every time who bibi. So and to the extent that yenti omuntimi man in the dimple. So to the extent that they have to rush her to the hospital.
Yeah.
With the medication. Last time no, she was good. No, I back down. And religion has that barrier on it. I say, but on hospital. They shape they shape and I think that has had a lot of toll on some of these things.
Yeah, it's a very complex thing where, again, in Casa religion, and yet by the same time, I'm a strong believer. I say, I don't know how to say it in tree, but the intelligence to be able to address some of these illnesses, and I said bad doings on us to be able to cure ourselves.
Yeah,
and that's where medicine and science comes in, right? So I'm glad you said, oh yeah, the nickel hospital near mine drone and now or yeah. So that's a living testimony right there that you can do both. You can pray, but you have to also take your medicine. You know, or you have to have the person at least get assessed before we know what we're doing. After.
Yes, and it's true. We have to just balance it. But young church, we zero in on the church now.
Sure.
Well, of course, there are a lot of people outside, a lot of people in our schools and things like that. But now we are in the church.
Yes.
I know the church consists of people. Why should we focus on the mental health of the church?
Even going back to example now, mine, we have as Ghanaians, we have so much trust in our religious leaders. We put so much, like I said, we put so much trust. We put them on a pedestal that's very, very high, and I think this is a call to action for these religious leaders. I know they may feel that maybe this turn or this initiative takes away from their business. I don't know, but you know, it will actually help. It will help the church. So if we have mental health professionals, you know, people that are in the health field that can buy in these religious leaders and to be able to accept, say, okay, yeah, maybe but at the same time, there's a way to explain it in a non religious terms to individuals for them to also seek out help as well. So using religious leaders, I know it'll be tough, but I feel like if we target religious leaders and buy them in, again, it's on us as mental health therapists to get them to be able to also understand and accept that, you know, it's not always spiritual. And if they are the ones that are able to preach this message to their congregation, they would easily grasp it, like they have done since forever. You know, so I think that's why the church must address it, because, you know, I'm seeing a lot of shifts where, especially in this generation, these kids are bright. To me, and that would be, you know, I don't know if I don't want to be, you know, my tree is not good, so I don't want to be disrespectful. But to me, you cannot manipulate individuals. They know, said no, this is not right.
Your kind of correct. To me, that is manipulation. Yes,
yeah,
that is it.
Yeah. So, the young people are leaving the church for these things. And it's not only say, oh, I'm depressed. Like there are small things a part of someone's social life that the church can address. Keep them in the church, keep them feel wanted. Be hard. Nobody even talks to them at church. And now I say, nobody even asks them. And now so being beside and say, how are you doing? How is your week? That's why young people are leaving the church and they're going to maybe other churches and other groups, because those new churches, they're seeing that these young people, they are the people that we have to target, and we have to address their needs now. So you see a lot of these traditional churches, these traditional denominational churches that are losing young people, and it's because of this. It's mainly because of this. We are just focusing on the religious aspect. We're not focusing on the social and practical aspect of someone's life. So, yeah.
Yeah. But as I kasa about church, I don't know whether it's relevant to bring this in. For instance, people preparing
Uh-huh.
for marriage. Do they need really to be assessed mentally? Because the Jamaica say,
That's a good
recently we
question.
have had a lot of instances on say be our phobia, or the second one. Now we are you say some of these things people sometimes talk about. Let's trace it back to maybe their mental health condition. Do you
Yeah.
think there should be a need for the church, in as much as they are assessing them medically, whether maybe they are fit? The last time Ebenezer and Dr. Steven MET assessed their blood that are not compatible, they can
Yeah.
cause problems. Did they have to be some sort of mental psyche or things that we need to do about it?
That's a good question. That's something where I've never thought about as far as so a I think it starts from the education. I think churches need to implement programs throughout their I don't know how, I mean every church says it different, but throughout their quarterlies, or however you want to put it, where you're doing workshops and other educational events such as this, in person, have people ask questions. You can do mini assessments. um, Again, you're educating the public, you're educating the people. If you educate them, right? Because one therapist, and I said one clinician and mental health, then how you want to call it, on to me and share obia in the church. Even you put one person there, on to me share obia. A lot of the times, even as a professional, a lot of these cases, it will be for front and who and all refer say, hey, you should go and do this, or you should go and do the like teachers, right? Teachers, we get a lot of referrals from schools. Teachers in there who maybe parents in the crowd who. So when you educate individuals, right? Let's say if you have teachers in the church, or now if you educate these people, they can be the eyes of the church and say, I think maybe I should approach this person and say, hey, you know you should go for a checkup. You don't look like yourself, and then yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it, to be able to address these challenges, especially for people that are getting married, because marriage is stressful. The whole process is stressful. Even before you get married, they're very stressful. It can trigger someone not be so yeah, again, coming back to the title, you target the next generation or the current generation, have educate them. And I think these these incidences of um, romance crimes and then suicide and decreasing for sure.
Mami Musawi, it came to my mind whilst we explaining. Is there a connection between religion and mental health? In other words, the person be say, can there be someone who is like very religious, and it can trigger some sort of mental health condition? Is there a linkage of that sort there in there?
It's possible. It's very possible. Let me give you an example. And this is not all the case, but it's possible. What you're saying, maybe you'll be someone grew up in a very, 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 very religious home, right? When I say religious, very strict as well.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Akolano didn't get to experience things that they should have experienced as a child. So they are so occupied. One of the symptoms we call is being very preoccupied. It's not generally all religion, all religion, all religion. Everything they see is religion. It can trigger if you're not mentally strong. It could be also heredity, biological as well. If it's in the family, the chances of you having a mental health illness is higher than the next person that maybe Enini Busiamu. So these are all different factors. So yes, what you're saying to an extent is true. It's possible because you can have a lot of people where, like you said, Nipakona, Bakuna no area now say Okasa Kasano. It's possible saying the family are very, very religious. Well,
Yeah, they are.
there you go. So yeah, I guess that answers the question.
That answered the question. But say I feel I know I join in a chariot TV action time now. Many kwaku money and education kwaku che money.
Yeah.
I'll ask you about the money anyway.
Sure.
And
It's just short for Emmanuel, that's all.
Oh,
Emmanuel.
okay. Yeah.
Emmanuel.
When Abraham said it to me, I was like, money with quotation marks on it. I was like,
Yeah.
that's
Some
the
people
meaning of
know me,
quotation
Manny.
marks.
Some
I
people
was
know
thinking
me.
maybe it's a nickname of sort of that sort.
Yeah, just short for Emmanuel.
I get it. So,
Yeah.
back to our one of our the discussion. You spoke about maybe your family history
Yeah.
of mental health. Does that mean that some of these things have genetics bearing in
Yes.
them?
Definitely. And then
Throw
the
more light.
science. Say that again. What was the last thing you said?
Throw more light on it. It doesn't have a.
Oh, okay.
Can it have genetic? They say, yeah, if my father can be maybe depressed, then sort of you can have that. Is that possible?
Yeah. It's possible. Like I was saying before, say I will boost you more. The chances of you, let's say we have person A, the mommy or depression, the papa or anxiety, and or now or bipolar, and a person B, the parents in niche. The chances of person A growing up to have mental health challenges is way higher than a person of B. So it is genetics. Excuse me, it is genetics that if it's in a family there, it's more likely. But the thing is that a lot of times we don't know say it's in a family, because if it's in a family, that's your normalcy. You may not know say, oh, my papa BB, no, not BB Hannah, because that's what you grew up with, right? So if it's not addressed, then also into me and who said, okay, my child is also experiencing the same thing, so let me get help from my child, because a child can say, hey, mom, dad, I need to go to the hospital. It's up to the parent to be able to initiate these treatments in children, because you need to say, as we get older, habits are hard to break, right? And then why not say, oh yeah, if you don't treat it, the older you get, the worse it gets. It's just that's how it is. So that's where the cycle keeps going until it's caught at an early stage in the person's developmental, uh, so that it doesn't continue. But even if it continues, at least now we need to say, okay, I have this, I have depression, I have anxiety, I have to be aware that my balance and doesn't have these challenges. I have ADHD, I can't focus. So if my child is being hyper or can't pay attention, that I know is that I know no fault. It comes from me. The child didn't do anything. So let me be a parent and let me do the best I can to be able to help him with his issues.
Yeah, will come to my next question, but maybe jumped in my mind about
Sure.
the child not focusing. That is also a mental condition. Say, on focus on there. Is it on timintna class in TA as someone who can some chena nani ref is what say on timin focus on something? What's the meaning?
So so when I say ADHD, there are two components, or there's two sides. There's the hyperactivity part. You can I think of a color If you are running up and down to international catch and says sit 1 second. No, sorry. That's the hyperactivity part. And then you have the inattentiveness. They can't focus. And see, that can also present itself in different ways. If they can't focus, maybe a bayani, I don't know what's the true word. Irritable, like a bayani here, and I said the kid might get mad. Then you woofu.
Ah,
right? Yeah, obi wa bayani. Another person, maybe they would just be isolated because they will keep it, they will internalize it. So doesn't mean say I could be on up and down or ADHD. It's just when it's too much where when it's how do you say it, when they can't function right? Maybe there can be a kid where if you or running up and down, of course they're in a comfort zone, they're home, they're happy. Or school or better not say or better, like I said, I don't you don't listen to me, you listen to your teacher. Because there's structure in the school. He or she sees that the classmates at Tanasi, honestly about Tanasi, that doesn't mean the kid has ADHD. That just means that maybe you need to implement a little bit more structure in the home. So there, these are like what I was talking about before. You may see symptoms, but it doesn't mean that they have they fit the criteria. So
yeah. But my next question is: do you think the church, in your judgment and in your experience with people, do you think the church is doing much about this thing?
I don't think so. I don't think the church is doing much at all. I think it can change. It has the potential to change. I think now the leaders, the pastors, I'm seeing a lot of young pastors that are educated, actually are going to school to become a pastor or whatever, however you want to label the religious leader of the church. I think we are also having more educated congregations, and that's where we need to focus on. But now, I don't think we're doing much. I don't think the church is doing much. Like I said, it could be because they are just not educated, or I'll be a little bit controversial. Maybe the leaders are just afraid, say, the therapist will take their business. Because you have to consider that extreme possibility as well. Say, this is my job. This is not your job.
Yeah, I get your point. Well, Channel TV, so Anna Ichaguna, and then the mental health, whatsoever, and there are a lot of things I use one day, but who's a depression, mom, movie now, depressed, no, issue. And I'm also a movie now, then you say, my isolation. I say, most of my introvert for no. Issue, and you're just introvert, issue, see, really, and I almost saw ɔmontantrata ase kirikirikirikra no ebi wɔ hɔ a yɛsɛ ebi wɔ hɔ a na nsɛm wɔ hɔ nti yɛbɔ mmɔden na manya Kwaku Kyei wɔ me nkyɛn ana ɔbɔ me nkɔmmɔ na ɔkyerɛkyerɛ mu nsɛm a ɛwɔ sɛ yɛte aseɛ ɛfa saa nneɛma no ho na me ne mmienu yɛbu nkɔmpɔ ɛkɔhwɛ saa kwan no na ɛtumi boa yɛn ɛfisɛ saa nneɛma yi nyinaa boa yɛn so aba so abɔ mmɔden you might be watching us from YouTube and I say watch us from Twitter and info. You are watching us on Facebook. You are watching us on Facebook, on YouTube. You can drop in your comments, and your comment will be welcome. Na omo dia mame na menso so making kind ama Kwaku atma boy na yenso etimi ate ho ase. So you drop in your comment. It's a live show. You read it. My member is and there's a commenter making kind ama but generally no. What do you think the church role is? There na. Sorry no. Practically, you come to church every Sunday, your birthday, but practically, what should you think the church should be doing to be able to contribute?
Right. I think the church needs to bring in more professionals to have these type of talks, right? I know the church always bring in doctors, lawyers, other things where it's very important. Right, maybe to talk about high blood pressure, and I said diabetes, and I said But here you have a lot of immigration lawyers will come and talk to churches how to, so papers and this and they'll help you do that. And I said, you have a lot of times churches will bring in finance experts, help you manage your money and make more money and stuff like that. But we don't have that many people coming in for the mental health. So I think I stated this before. Have workshops set throughout the year where these people are coming in. And then also having them have that individual be available for the church to be able to consult, provide consultation as well, work hand in hand. Maybe the pastor has someone, has a case where, after a workshop or two, they'll say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I think this person may be suffering from some mental health challenges. Can you help me help them navigate how to get help for this? Because it's okay for a pastor to miss it, only they don't know what the next steps may be, right? So having someone that is a resource to the church to be able to, come in when needed, to be able to provide help for specific individuals, right? So just because maybe, I may be far away, doesn't mean I can't help you navigate your resources. Hey, you should go here, you should go to your primary care or doctor. Now, because I said, or yeah, general assessment, and okay, on how can he refer you to someone who does assessments, and then you take it from there. These are things that the church can implement, because church is part of the community, and it's up to them to be able to provide to their members. Or like I said, they'll lose them, because a church is supposed to be a healing place, right?
Yeah.
So this is part of the healing. This is part of their family. A lot of Ghanaians, we see our churches as family, sometimes even more than our biological family. It is to me boil in your time of need, and then they're not being effective as a church.
Yeah, but maybe these some comments
Sure.
First of all, Ebenezer Labi say good topic, and Emilia and so is watching. I mean, kind of comment back what this Ejari from your own Ejari has dropped in some comment. I say, what are some activities can the church develop to engage adolescents? By adolescent, don't say young and youth and young adults, okay, to engage the adolescents to avoid the preoccupied symptoms.
Sure. Yeah, so it's important to also, you have to understand the age group that you're targeting. So if you're talking about the youth, it has to set different events and activities where they're even if it's a day in the park where you're having games and stuff like that. Why 1 month, 2 months, they haven't even laughed. Into just having that place to just be free and de-stress. It's a form of healing. It's a form of therapy itself. Group activity is a form of therapy. So having more group activities outside of the church as well, not only in the church, more koha. You guys are having group discussions, things like that, where you're keeping the engagement and you're also letting other people do up. Like I said, the church, some people come from a very poor family. On call somewhere, that the church is someone that can as a group that can fund that for them to be able to do something else outside of their daily activities or their daily routine. Again, that is all part of the healing process. So those are the activities that the church can do with the young people. And not always Bible studies.
Well, if it is that, my wife or what type of comment section you say, I mean, I put emphasis on Bible. So the church should also direct some attention towards that.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's true. But my memory is, I mean, we see them on, well, it has not gotten to Ghana yet, but we see them in United States. Say, with me right church, now all of a sudden Well, you might call it several reasons. Maybe you're school now. All of a sudden, it too and the core of it, the health, the mental stability, for the person not stable.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true. But one thing I would say, and I'm not saying it just because I'm Ghanaian, but I think we are a very resilient group of people.
Yeah.
And when you add this to it, when you add the mental health education and awareness, and I don't think, we will excel in society everywhere. I feel like this is just the missing piece of us where, once we, once we're able to tap into this, nothing can stop us as a people.
Yeah, fine. I'll come back to you. Then you give me
Sure.
your takeaway. But let
Sure.
me read some few comments.
Okay.
Then I'll come back so that you give me your takeaway on so that we can go on that as we wrap up. Vincent and so say great work. God bless you guys. Mama Sheh, I think I don't have any comments. You drop a comment or comment section. In fact, drop a comment. The show continues next week. God willing, now just send Ebenezer Besa Baba, Dr. Ebenezer Beba Jari. Na ebia nyoma bia one ne ewo ka no one na beka and I mean many health practitioner, so clearly you can see say I'm locked up with some of the things I can really ask him about it. No, but me gidi na also me gidi also so what's your idea, because you be your na me gidi ho a we yi normal me what question what doubt be just drop it in the comment section, or you can get in touch with us on chariottvgh@gmail.com, chariottvgh@gmail.com, or just WhatsApp us on 0200 777 418 0200 777 418. WhatsApp here, you can get in touch with us, and any issue I'll say about, particularly on the subject I can no, you will find a way of getting in touch with the expert. Now I'm also etimi aboy. If you have not subscribed to Chariot TV, just go on your YouTube. You can just search Chariot TV, subscribe, click on notification bell. Whenever we go live, you don't need a link before you can come and join us. You will get a notification from your end. Then you join in. You go to Twitter. You go to Twitter. You just subscribe to Chariot TV. Then you click on notification. Twitter too has a notification bell or pressing something button, notification button. I'll be press here. It will your call live once bit and Facebook. I'm not sure of Facebook, but Facebook you can get in touch with us on Facebook as well. Search Chariot TV. Follow us on Facebook as well. So call live, you'll be able to get interacted with us and share the link for others. Share the link. Let's share the link. Send a nipa betimi asua Nyankopon asem ene your mental health issue. Nyoma your mental health, your other health factors and things that surrounds our life. Na yetima yi nipa mu ye bibiara ye mu ene bibiara ye mu. My member to Kweku Cheso. Now Kweku, please your takeaway so that
just to wrap up the conversation, I just want to say I think it's time to put an end to the stigma of mental health or mental illness by increasing the awareness of mental health needs in our communities and also in our religious places as well. It's not every issue that you're able to attribute it or associate to like spiritual warfare. If you can seek medication for a physical illness, and I want to also know that physical illness, sometimes we can't see it, we feel it, but we can't see it. So why not mental health illness with mental health illness as well? I also wanted to list some very, very prominent people in the world that suffer mental health illnesses, just to show that you can still be functional. All right, so you have Sir Isaac Newton. I think we all know who Sir Isaac Newton is.
Yeah.
Right? He had a lot of nervous breakdowns. Beethoven, he was bipolar. Abraham Lincoln, he suffered from suicidal ideations and depression. Winston Churchill, also depression. Adele suffers from depression. Michael Phelps, ADHD, and he has 20 plus gold medals. Leonardo DiCaprio, he suffered from OCD. I know we didn't talk about that, but Mariah Carey also suffers from depression. The Rock, also depression. Alicia Keys, depression. Janet Jackson, depression. Prince Harry, anxiety. Kendrick Lamar, suicide, ideations, and depression. You have Albert Einstein, who was autistic. Bill Gates was autistic. Thomas Jefferson was autistic. Steve Jobs was autistic. Michelangelo was also autistic. Mozart was autistic. And the creator of Pokemon was also autistic. So this just shows that there's not the end of the world when you have a mental illness, right? It's just about how to function daily with it, find a way to function daily with it. So yeah, and then I know this is a church platform, so I want to leave one memory verse with you guys as well. So
Okay.
if you look at if you read the whole Matthew 6 25 to 35, I'm just going to read 34. 34 says, so do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will take care of itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So it's just something to keep everyone going. If they feel like giving up, you just, the Bible right there tells you to keep going. And yeah, that's all I have.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, you're listing people who had mental health. There is one brilliant mathematician, John Forbes Nash. I don't know whether you know him.
No, I don't know who that is.
He suffered schizophrenia or something like that.
Schizophrenia.
It was terrible. I think he won the prize afterwards. And all these people, they all had mental conditions, and they were able to survive these things and live normal life. Thank you so much. In fact, Mojide said we be our video and has learned a lot. As Dan Koma Kwekuche said, Ojibre, out of your schedules now, Timmy Jibre, Ebeka inside Action Time on Chariot TV. Now, boy, Emma, Nioma, Yentiase, or mental health, why the church should be able to focus on mental health for the next generation and even the current generation. Boy, Emma, Yeti and Wasi. I don't do me as Ebenezer, Dr. Ebenezer Jarry will come and continue with the show. But God willing, tomorrow is Love and Family Corner. So stay tuned with Chariot TV. Makramo. Bye-bye.